Hello everyone. Today's lecture is on timber. Timber is a part of building material syllabus. First of all, myself Sayyid Jamal Ahmed and I am currently studying in second year in civil engineering. If you like my channel, you can subscribe and press the bell icon. Let's start. Timber. What is wood? Wood is a hard and fibrous substance which forms a major part of the trunk and branches of a tree. It can also be defined as a natural polymeric material which practically does not age. Timber. Timber is used for engineering activities is derived from trees that are generally of two types: exogenous trees and endogenous trees. Exogenous trees is two types. First, conifer trees and second, deciduous trees. Classification on the basis of durability. The specimens of size 600 into 50 into 50 are buried in the ground to halve their lengths, and their conditions is noted from time to time. First, high durability if the average life is more than 10 years. Second, moderate durability if the average life is 5 to 10 years. Low durability if the average life is less than 5 years. Group A, classification on the basis of modulus of elasticity. Group A, modulus of elasticity is bending above 12.5 uh, kn per mm square. Group B, modulus of elasticity is bending above 9.8 kn per mm square and below 12.5 kn per mm square. Group C, modulus of elasticity in bending above 5.6 kn per mm square and below 9.8 kn per mm square. Classification on the basis of availability. X, most common, 14 15 meter cube or more per year. Y, common, 355 meter cube to 1415 meter cube per year. Z, less common, below 355 meter per year, meter cube per year. Classification on the basis of position. First, standing timber, a living tree. Second, rough timber, it is a part of felled tree. Third, converted timber or lumber, lots of timber sawn into planks, posts, etc. Trees. First, exogenous trees. These are the trees that grow in bulk by increasing in outward direction. B. These trees never shed their leaves until new ones are grown. Evergreen trees. C. These trees bear cone-shaped fruits, hence this class of trees is known as conifer trees. D. These trees consist of circular rings along their horizontal section that is added up each year, hence is termed as annual rings, which is helpful in finding age of tree. Exogenous tree. The wood used for engineering purpose is mostly derived from these trees only. These are further divided into two types. First, conifer trees. Conifer trees, softwood trees. These trees possess a distinct annual ring and indistinct medullary rays. Light in weight, color, hence softwood. Example: cheer, deodar, pan, spruce, fir, kale, and larch. B. Deciduous trees, hardwood trees. These are also known as the broad-leaved trees. They shed their leaves in autumn, which again brown back in spring. Wood obtained from these trees is hard, strong, non-resinous, and dark in color. This possesses indistinct annular rings and distinct medullary rays. Example: sal, teak, oak, babul. Endogenous tree. These are the trees which grow in bulk in and wide direction and consist of fibrous marks throughout their longitudinal section. Wood obtained from these trees have a limited engineering application. Example: bamboo, can palm tree. Structure of tree: crown, branch and leaves, trunk. Trunk consists of 80% of the bulk of wood. Structure of tree. You can see the picture. First pith, second hardwood, third sapwood, fourth cambium layer, fifth inner beak, and last outer bark. This is the rings. Structure of tree. First pith, pith or medulla. Uh, a innermost portion entirely consists of cellulose, which is used for nourishment of plant in its young age. See, as plant grows into tree, it decides and does not take any active part in growth of the tree. Hardwood. Inner annular ring surrounding the pith constitutes hardwood. B. It has dark color that represents dead portion of the tree. C. Does not participate in growth of the tree but imparts strength and rigidity to it. And last, wood used for engineering purpose majorly. Third, sapwood. Outer annual rings between hardwood and cambium layer. B. It has light color. C. It plays active role in growth of the tree. Fourth, cambium layer. It is sap being converted to sapwood. Future growth of the tree is dependent upon this cambium layer only. B. If due to any reason bark of the tree is removed, exposing the cambium layer, it can lead to scarcity of cells of wood in cambium layer, which can finally lead to death of tree. Fifth, medullary rays. Radial fibers extending from pit to cambium layer holding the inner rings of sapwood and hardwood together is termed as medullary rays. The strength of timber in a transverse direction is dependent on presence of medullary rays. See bark. It is protected covering over the cambium layer to safeguard the future growth of the tree. Growth of the tree. In spring, the roots of the tree suck sap as food from the soil, which reaches the branch and the leaves. Sap contains moisture which gets evaporated. It absorbs carbon from air in presence of sunlight and becomes denser. In autumn, the sap descends and deposits in the form of layer below the bark. This layer referred to as the cambium layer. Hardness and adds a layer of wood to the outside of tree every year in the form of concentric rings. These annular rings furnish valuable information regarding the age of the log, the rapidity and the uniformity of its growth. Processing of timber. Falling first falling of trees, second seasoning of trees, third conversion of timber, fourth preservation of timber. Falling of trees should be done at suitable age. Optimum age 50 to 100 years. Over mature decayed wood is obtained. Under mature sapwood is obtained. Trees should be cut in such a way that a maximum wood is obtained from its sawing is done at section just above the ground. Sawing should be done in season when movement of sap is minimum, hence avoided in autumn and spring when sap movement is maximum through the section of tree. Falling of tree. In highly areas, cutting should be done in mid-summer, summers as in winter rainfall occurs. In plain areas, cutting should be done in winters as excessive loss of moisture may take place in summers. The best time is mid-summer or mid-winter when the sap is at rest. If it failed when the sap is vigorous in movement, the timber decays. If the tree is cut young, it yields softwood, and if it stands too long, the decay starts. Seasoning of timber. Newly fallen trees contain moisture up to 50%, which needs to be removed before using for any engineering activity. This process of drying the timber to make it fit for engineering use is called seasoning. Water is present in form of moisture and sap. During seasoning, which free water is removed from free and point at which it is completely removed is termed as fiber saturation point. Seasoning is done up to moisture content of 10 to 12%. The practical limit of moisture content achieved is 15%. Seasoning is two types. First, artificial, second, natural. Artificial first boiling, second electrical, third kiln, and fourth chemical. Natural is two types: first air seasoning and second water seasoning. Second, seasoning of timber. First, artificial seasoning, a boiling. Logs of timber are placed in water, temperature of which is raised up to boiling point, and it's maintained from 3 to 4 hours. Then dried naturally. Increase in temperature, quick evaporation, and then duration of seasoning decreases. Quickest method of seasoning but costly. B. Electrical seasoning. Timber is subjected AC alternative currents as wood is bad conductor of electricity produces heat which is utilized in seasoning of timber. See, kiln seasoning. Log of timber are placed in airtight chamber. Fully saturated air is poured into it at a temperature of 35 to 40 degrees Celsius. Then temperature is increased gradually and does not result in evaporation. Relative humidity is not reduced, hence uniformly drying the timber. With a kiln drying, there is a little loss in strength of timber, usually less than 10%. The chemical seasoning. Logs are immersed in solution of salt that increase the rate of evaporation and helps bring down the duration of seasoning. Natural seasoning. Air seasoning. In a shed with a platform of a height 300 timber is stacked. Care is taken to see that air can circulate around each timber. Bark moisture content decreases over a period of time. Water seasoning. Logs of timber are immersed in water stream such that larger portion is placed upstream direction of flow. Uh, the sap is replaced by flowing water. Flowing water can be removed in shorter time. Conversion of timber. Process of sawing the timber into section of suitable shape and size is termed as conversion of timber. Sawing is four types. First, ordinary sawing. Second, quarter sawing. Third, tangential sawing. And radial sawing. First, ordinary sawing. Wastage is minimum, most economical. Cut are made tangential to annual rings. Section are liable to shrink. B. Quarter sawing. Cuts are made at a right angle to each other. Used when annual rings are indistinct. Section are liable to bend in transverse direction. See, tangential sawing. Cuts are made tangential to the annual rings that meet each other at a right angle. Strength obtained in this section is minimum, as medullary rays are also cut that are used for holding the annual rings in position. The radial sawing. Cuts are made parallel to the medullary rays radial direction. A decorative effect, strongest section is obtained. Wastage is also maximum. Preservation of timber. Preservation is carried out in order to increase the life of timber structure, to make it more durable and increase its resistance against attack of fungi, insects, termites, etc. Preservation of timber, as SQ arsenic copper treatment. Timber is coated with a solution of arsenic, pentoxide, copper sulfate, and potassium dichromate. This treatment increases resistance against attack of white ants. B. Chemical salt. Copper sulfate, zinc chloride, mercury chloride, sodium fluoride increase the durability of the structure. Sorry. See, preservation with coal tar. Hot tar is applied over the surface. It is increases resistance against fire. The creosote oil produced by distillation of tar, wood or coal. Application of creosote oil almost doubles life of timber. Process of application is called a creosotic, in which oil at temperature of 50 degrees Celsius, pressure is 0.7 to 1 in per mm square is applied uniformly over the timber. C. Preservation of timber. Oil paints, solinium paints. Oil and solinium paints increase the resistance to water. Mm, Pottery process. Sapwood of almost all green timbers with the bark on end of a bamboo in green condition soon after felling can be treated using any of the inorganic water soluble preservatives by this process. The log of wood attached to the hose pipe and connected to the reservoir containing preservation at an air pressure of 0.1 to 0.2 n per mm square on its surface. Due to hydrostatic pressure, the preservative displaces the sap in the wood. The treatment is stopped when the concentration of preservation at the lower end of the log is the same as that in the reservoir. Fuel cell or Bethel process. Defect in timber. Defect can occur due to seasoning, natural resources, conversion of timber, fungi. Defect due to seasoning. First bow, second cup, third spring, fourth twist. You can see the picture. Defect due to natural resource. Checks. Checks is a longitudinal crack which is usually normal to the annual rings. This adversely affect the durability of timber because they readily admit moisture and air. 6. 6 are longitudinal separation in the wood between the annual rings. This lengthwise separation reduces the allowable shear strength without much effect on compressive and tensile values. The separation make the wood under searable when appearance is important. Both the shakes and checks, if present near the natural neutral plane of a beam, they may materially weaken its resistance to horizontal shear. Third, heart shake. Occur due to shrinkage of heartwood. When tree is over matured, crack start from pith and run towards sapwood. These are wider at center and diminish outwards. And fourth, the cup shake appears as curved split which partly or wholly separates annual rings from one another. It is caused due to excessive frost action on the sap present in the tree, especially when the tree is young. Heartshake and star shakes. A defect in timber consisting of a shrinkage and separation of tissues across the annual rings, usually along the rays. And cup shakes, ring shakes. Defect in timber consisting of shrinkage and separation of the annual rings. Abnormal growth. Ring also. A ring is formed by swelling caused by the growth of layer of sapwood over wounds after the branch has been cut off in an irregular manner. Knots are bases of the twigs of or branches buried by the cambial activity of the mother branch. The root of the branch is embedded in the stem with the information of annual rings at the right angles to those of the stem. And the defect in timber in third, defect due to conversion of timber, chip mark formed due to marks of planing tools, be it tone grain depression over the timber due to falling of tools, see diagonal grain due to improper cutting, when due to presence of a originally rounded surface on finished timber section. The and for defect in timber due to fungi, blue stain. Fungi carries decomposition of sap and leaving blue color spot over it. Big brown rot caused due to removal of cellulose by fungi resulting in reddish color. C. Whiteout formed due to removal of lignin, important in the formation of cell walls, leading to development of white spot. Fourth, dry spot formed where there is no free circulation of air. Fungi converts it to dry powder from. Wet rot formed due to alternate wetting and drying of timber structure. Wood product. What is veneer? Veneering is the process of manufacturing of wood-based product in which thin sheets of woods are produced, which are known as veneers. The thickness of veneers varies from 0.4 to 0.6 mm. Is no case it should exceed 1 mm. Most preferable wood for veneers is walnut. Plywood, a wood panel glued under pressure from an odd number, usually 3 to 13 of layer piles of veneers is known as plywood. Faces. Faces are outermost veneer sheets. Core or center are pliers that have grain direction parallel to that of faces. Crossbond pliers which have grain direction perpendicular to that in the face are termed as crossbands. Uses of plywood. Used for partitions, ceilings, doors, concrete form work, plywood boards, lamin boards, built up boards with core strip up to 7 mm wide and 7 mm thick, and block boards, built up boards, etc. Fiber board is a made from a felting of wood and vegetable matter and molded into sheets. So, software used for walls and ceilings, medium paneling, partition wall, hard walls, doors, bus bodies, etc. And last, thank you for attention.